Assalamu alaikum everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this video, chances are you are now where we have been or were in the past, and that is contemplating leaving Canada or the West in general.
Yeah, so you clicked on this video because you're interested, maybe things just aren't the same anymore and you're contemplating leaving and you want to hear from a family that's done it. Mm-hmm. So we've done it.
We've done it. We've officially done it.
And let's start at the beginning on why we picked Malaysia. We have an entire video actually, I think, explaining that, so I'll link that in the description. Mm-hmm. But in general, why Malaysia? We came here over a decade ago.
Mm-hmm. The reason for Malaysia was Bangladesh. Believe that or not. So the reason we decided to come here on our honeymoon and then fall in love with the country was I met a brother in Bangladesh when I was there, and we just hit it off right away.
A Malaysian brother.
Yeah, Malaysian brother. Mm-hmm. And then we went our separate ways, and when we were looking to go somewhere for our honeymoon, the typical like Mexico, Dominican, things that were close in the Western world, Florida, I think maybe we talked about, California. And then he's like, hey, why don't you come here? And we're like, Malaysia?
What's Malaysia? I've heard of Indonesia, but I've never heard of Malaysia. This is like, you guys, ages ago. So yeah, did some research.
Back when you had to read books mostly.
Yeah, did some research, booked the tickets, and we came. Yeah, so it took us a long time. We had kids. Do you know what the catalyst was in 2023? What propelled us into coming here with our kids in 2024? It was October 7th.
Yeah. So that was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
And everything that spawned out of that, I feel like. So we've been on social media for what?
5 years.
5 years almost. And one thing that I've come to realize as a Canadian, so before social media growing up, it's just a known, I don't want to say fact, but it's a known kind of a joke, but it's true that sometimes Americans, when they travel, they'll put Canadian patches on their backpacks because Canadians usually are more well-respected and treated
they're perceived to be like friendly and polite.
Exactly.
It's kind of what we're known for as Canadians.
And one thing that we've come to realize, I mean, growing up in the West, in Canada, you see it anyway, but one thing that I've come to realize and appreciate is that Americans will tell you how it is. They're very direct.
Blunt.
And they're very to the point, they're very blunt, direct, and they'll tell you if they don't like you, they'll tell you that they're very opinionated. But I respect that now more than ever, and the reason for that is because on social media, you see the Canadians come out from behind their keyboards and really expose Canada, unfortunately, for what when you grow up there, you see it, but the vile racism and bigotry that exists there.
There is a lot of hidden racism in Canada that people don't really realize, and all you have to do, I'll leave that video in the description as well. It's the first video we did saying we're leaving Canada, and all you have to do is scroll the comments and you will see how turned up it made Canadians, and how much racism there is.
Isn't it wild though that people would be so offended because you've made a decision to move to a different country?
No, yeah, I don't know why it offended them so much. So yeah, what drove us to leave everything behind? I mean, obviously, we left behind everything. Our business is still there. We have family there. We have friends there. Or like, our child is buried there. Like, it's a lot.
We left the snow there.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing.
It's a lot. So what drove us? The economy is tanking. We don't like our leaders.
10+ years of Justin Trudeau will make you kind of be sour.
Yeah, we're now about to have like a straight up Zionist government. The Canadian dollar is tanking. It's the cost of living has risen so much. And just in general, we don't want to raise our kids there anymore. It just doesn't feel like a place where we can see our kids growing up safely and in a comfortable environment.
Yeah, when you see online and you see what lies beyond the friendly, like, howdy, eh? Like, when you see what exists beyond that, it really puts a sour taste in your mouth. And like she said, you check that video out in the comment section. We haven't deleted comments on that because it's a good opportunity
for people
for
to see the truth. Yeah, it's a good way to see the truth. And another thing for us is people will say, okay, you say Canada is not Muslim friendly. Obviously, it's not Muslim friendly. We're not telling you that it should be Muslim friendly. It's just not.
The pause there. I think people don't understand Muslim friendly. They think that if
Let's
you're a
define
Muslim,
it.
you go there
Yeah.
and they like hate you and they're gonna like lynch you or burn you at the stake. That's not what Muslim friendly means.
No,
right?
what we mean by Muslim friendly is access to halal food. It is very hard unless you're in big cities.
And if you're in the big cities, then we're not talking about you. We grew up in a
small town.
I grew up in a town of like what 3,000 people.
Yeah,
Like,
and there's no restaurants where you can find food to eat other than French fries.
even that's
Pretty much.
debatable for some.
Even that's debatable.
Right.
So there's that. Finding a clean place to pray. Like for instance, Canada's Wonderland, we used to go there all the time, and they used to have a tiny little space for Muslims to pray. Well, they dismantled that this last year.
They did.
So there's nowhere to pray now. Now you got to pray in the dirty parking lot. You got to pray just on the side. Like
which is fine, because as Muslims we believe that Allah has created this entire world as a masjid for us. Meaning we can pray anywhere and everywhere.
You can.
But the caveat to that is that with the amount of Islamophobia and hatred towards Muslims that exists, with families getting run over and murdered, mosques getting shot up, although not common occurrences, you see this repeating behavior, that it's not something that you want to do or have to worry about while you're praying. Because when you're praying, you're not supposed to be worried about anything like that, right?
And that's something that you are always checking is like, you're always thinking that people are looking at you when you're praying in public there, and it's just not conducive to a good spiritual environment, you know, like
so
for
when we talk
us.
about friendly, you come to a Muslim country, you can pray anywhere and everywhere, nobody cares. There's facilities to pray anywhere and everywhere, nobody cares. You can wash your feet and nobody cares. Again, I've worked in places where it's almost come to physical violence and HR involved and telling me that I can't, make wudu. Because it's offensive to the racist people, I guess. So that's what we mean by Muslim friendly.
A lot of people are going to be like, okay, number one question we get is, well, then denounce your Canadian citizenship. Get rid of your Canadian passport. You guys, do we hate Canada? No, we don't hate our country.
Do we hate some people in it? Of course. Do we hate some people that are super like?
Yeah, that's where we were born. That's where we were raised. That's all. The whole country is something that we grew up with and we love and cherish and we appreciate.
What? It's mine. It's yours.
We're Canadian.
If you're born in a country, okay, people say, oh, but sometimes we'll make comments like that is a turtle. I was right. It is a big turtle. I'm sorry, guys. Totally distracted.
Oh, it is too, a turtle.
Zainab's favorite animal is a turtle.
So. Literally swimming right in front of her house.
Sorry. Totally lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on.
No,
Thanks, turtle.
The whole Canadian passport thing. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it drives people crazy. And the funny thing is just because we left the country to live elsewhere, it doesn't make us less Canadian.
No.
We were still born and bred there. Like, our blood is still Canadian, whether you like it or you don't like it. Y'all, the ones that are leaving these comments anyway, forget that your ancestors were also off the boat.
Yep. At some point.
Might have been a couple generations
back. You're a fob at some point.
You came off fresh off the boat, just like we did.
Yep.
So
and
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so ironic that anyone would make such a statement knowing that you yourself, at some point, your family immigrated to that country.
Yeah, but they think that white people, no offense, because he is white, are more entitled to being Canadian than Indigenous people that were Indigenous to the land. That's the funny thing. So
I mean, we're all immigrant. I mean, if you go back far enough, you can allegedly track, the Indigenous people to match them up with the peoples of Mongolia, and they came over on the Bering Sea land bridge and populated North and South America. We're all from somewhere else. So who really cares? So long as wherever you're going, you're not exterminating the people and you're not ethnically cleansing the land of where you came to.
Israel.
America.
I just have to say. So this government clearly is not for the people that support Palestine, and we just didn't want to get behind that anymore. We're like, why continue contributing to an economy that can't even call it for what it is? It took them how long to finally have a politician stand up and say, we need to stop arming Israel. We need to stop being complicit. We need to arrest Netanyahu. And it's genocide. It took so long for the politicians in the House of Commons in Canada to admit that. Yeah, it's been a minute.
War crimes are war crimes are war crimes are war crimes. When it's your guys that are committing them, then you try to justify it. When it's the opposite, then it's a war crime, it's genocide. Just look at look at Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't care about politics. It's not my country, it's not my business. But when the world wants to crack down on someone like Vladimir Putin and you know, all for the arrest warrants from the ICJ, we're going to get him and we lock him up, war criminal. And then Netanyahu, who's blatantly, openly committing war crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity, ethnic
like,
cleansing.
Red carpet.
Yeah, roll it out.
Let's just bring him to our country. Like, what?
So why the double standard? Because it's our guys, right? Just educate yourself. Just listen to the CIA whistleblowers. Listen to all of the people who have come up about in the last year and a half to expose Israel and their relations with America and how disgusting Israel is and the Mossad is. And their fingers are in every aspect of your life, in your government, and this is not fact. This is not fiction.
Yeah.
This is not made up. These are not, you know, anti-Semitic statements.
Yeah.
It's just truth. And if it bothers you, it should.
It should. And one of the number one things that stood out to us about Malaysia is Israelis can't come here. Literally, they cannot come here. We were in Thailand vacationing literally like 2-3 weeks ago, and we brushed shoulders with a bunch of Israelis who were probably soldiers because they had their arms and legs cut off.
Yeah, sucks, hey?
But it's shocking to me that they can go there for vacation, and here, they're not allowed.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, all of that aside, that was the big catalyst. We love this country. They're not allowed in this country. It's very much pro-Palestine here. You can openly wear your keffiyehs here, and there's like literally in our neighborhood, you'll see Palestine flags just being like flown right in the front yard. Like you cannot do that in Canada. You cannot.
Yep.
You have to be very careful there. So that was a huge selling point for us to move here and live here.
Another thing, again, we'll move on from this topic because it's a very long and obviously passionate discussion. But the fact that when you're living here and you go to a march to support the people of Gaza, you're not deemed terrorist sympathizers like we are by our own government.
Politicians in Canada say that.
For supporting a people being ethnically cleansed from their land, you're deemed as a terrorist sympathizer.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
You cannot fly a Palestine flag there because our politicians literally call it a terrorist flag.
Yeah.
It's so sad. So anyway, flash forward. Is it easy moving across the world?
No.
Absolutely not. It is super stressful, emotionally, physically, all the things. How are the preparations? Like, we had to sell our car. That was hard. We had to pack up absolutely everything that we had in our house and either sell it, donate it, or dump it.
Yep.
He made, I don't even know how many dump runs,
Up until hours before the flight.
We were still doing that.
Because we were so pressed. The biggest thing, guys, is if you're going to do something like this, and this isn't really a video to explain how you should do it, it's more about what we did, but prepare well in advance. Don't leave things to the last minute.
I mean, we did ship all of our things 3 months or 2.5 months before all of the things that we wanted here. Ahead of time, but we were left with a lot of stuff that we had to either donate, had to sell, like furniture.
Almost 12 years of marriage worth of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
like every piece of furniture, the couches and tables that we were sitting on, we had to sell. And we had to also live without a bunch of stuff until the very end too. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. And then also this place, we had to
get empty.
We had to get this place without seeing it.
Yeah. Well, kind of. We saw
the neighboring
house
houses.
That's
we
the
saw
same.
the neighboring houses
but
before
yeah,
moving here.
I wouldn't recommend that either because there's so many issues that we've had since we've moved in.
Yeah. Still don't have a car. Like there's a lot of things.
But the bright side of that is that it's so cheap to get a taxi, a Grab, or Uber, right?
Yeah.
It's called Grab here. It's so cheap.
Definitely.
Convenient, but also very inconvenient, obviously not having your own vehicle.
Yeah. So do we miss home? Yeah.
Yeah.
We miss home a lot, for sure. We miss friends and family. We're super grateful to have been able to connect with a lot of expats here, families that also came here for Hijra and are just weaving their way into society. Is it a culture shock being here? It can be at times when the signs are not always in English.
But that's the thing, when they're not in English, it's like a lot of their words are just
similar,
spelled like how you would pronounce English words.
Some like clinic.
Yeah.
They do it with like a K.
A K,
yeah.
The biggest thing that I'm missing right now, believe it or not, guys, and I feel like it's a bit of an oxymoron for me, is cold weather. Like not cold weather, but cold air. I love cold air, and I'm a very warm sleeper. So the fact that it's like so warm here is I mean, it's
I love
nothing to
it.
complain about.
Yeah.
But I do miss that. The fresh, clean air of Canada is definitely something that I miss.
So we've been here now for 2 months, alhamdulillah.
2.5, almost 3.
Yeah, 2.5, and inshallah for eternity more. But we still have moving boxes in our house. We still don't have, wardrobe set up. We're still kind of living out of suitcases. Like, it is
and
a
we'll
process.
definitely, I mean, so many of you guys are along for the ride, and we love it and appreciate it. The little things, the little differences,
things.
right? Like, we all back home, our house wasn't a massive house or anything, but we all had like little walk-in closets.
Everyone had a walk-in closet. Yeah, here there's no closets. Here also, the walls are not made of drywall, so you can't just stick a nail or a tack up and put artwork up. Like, you have to drill through the concrete and little things like that we're just kind of getting used to. Also, living with geckos. There's a lot of geckos here. Will's just been going around the house killing geckos all the time. Do we have any regrets?
No.
No.
I think the only regret is that we didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Definitely.
I feel like, I mean, obviously circumstance and life, but I feel like we could have maybe done it earlier, but God only knows.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions in general, leave those comments down below. We will do our best to answer as many as we can, and let us know what video you guys want to see next.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot more coming, so stay tuned, guys. And we will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.